Good afternoon to one and all present here. As we gather for this 7-day national level online faculty development program on paradigm shifts in emergent English literary discourses, let us open our hearts and minds to new ideas and insights. As the poet T.S. Eliot once said, "Do not cease from exploration, and the end of all exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time." Today, we embark on an academic exploration that will deepen our understanding of English literary discourses. Let us begin the day with a song performed by NMCP Choir. As we listen, let's reflect on the words of John Keats. "Heard melodies are sweet, but those unheard are sweeter." Thank you to the choir for that touching and harmonious prayer song. To lead us in prayer, I kindly invite Mrs. J. Christy Lydia Johnsey.
Good afternoon, everyone gathered here. Let us bow our heads for prayer. For the Lord is good, and his mercy endures forever. Dear Heavenly Father, we come before you today with hearts full of gratitude and praise. Thank you for gathering us here on this first day of the 7-day national level online faculty development program on paradigm shifts in emergent English literary discourses conducted by PG and Research Department of English, Nazareth Margashis College at Palayanmanai, a time dedicated to learning, growth, and collaboration. Dear Lord, we are deeply grateful for this institution who stand as a beacon of knowledge and enlightenment. We especially thank you for the vision and guidance of our college secretary, Mr. S. Premkumar Rajasingh sir, and lay secretary, Mr. D. Nigar Prince Gibson sir, whose leadership inspire and empower us. Bless them abundantly as they steward this institution toward excellence. Lord, we lift up the principal of our college, Dr. R. G.V. Esther ma'am, convener Dr. M. Beulah Hemlata ma'am, organizing secretaries Dr. Y. Pramila Anbarsi ma'am and Dr. J. Mesala ma'am, and coordinator Dr. T. Jude Livingston sir, and the organizing committee along with the entire team uh, for the dedication and hard work in making this program possible. May their efforts be fruitful and create a meaningful impact on all the participants. We pray for today's guest speaker, Dr. J. John Sekar. Dear Lord, fill him with the wisdom and clarity as he share his expertise. Finally, we seek your blessings upon all the participants. May this program enrich our minds, transform our perspectives, and deepen our commitments to educate the students and the society. We ask all these things in the matchless name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Christy ma'am. Let us now turn to the Bible for guidance as Miss G. Wansi reads from the Holy Bible. Now I invite Wansi to read the Bible.
Good afternoon, everyone. The Bible reading portion is taken from Psalm 150 and verses 1 to 6. Psalm 150, the verses 1 to 6. Praise the Lord, praise God in his sanctuary, praise him in his mighty heavens, praise him for his acts of power, praise him for his surpassing greatness, praise him with the sounding of the trumpet, praise him with the harp and lyre, praise him with timbre and dancing, praise him with the string and flute, praise him with the clash of cymbals, praise him with resounding cymbals. Let everything that has breath praise the Lord, praise the Lord. Here ends the lesson.
Thank you, Wansi. I now invite Dr. G. Mary Stella to deliver the welcome address.
According to Bible, Roman chapter 15, verse 7 says, therefore, welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you for the glory of God. Good afternoon, everyone. I welcome you all to our 7-day national level online faculty development program. I extend a heartily welcome to our secretary, Mr. S. Prem Kumar Rajasingh, a man who doesn't need any introduction and known among all of us for his wisdom and knowledge. I'm profoundly delighted to take this opportunity to welcome our principal, Dr. R. G.V. Esther Ratnakumari. She is a role model for all the teachers and students. Her leadership inspires us every day. I welcome you, ma'am. I would like to warmly welcome a great speaker, Dr. J. John Sekar, former head and associate professor, Research Department of English, the American College, Madurai, who have taken the time to come to this meeting and share his knowledge and expertise with us. Your dedication and commitment to our education are genuinely appreciated, and we are grateful for the opportunity to learn from you, sir. Welcome you, sir. It's my pleasure to welcome all the faculty members and scholars. Once again, I welcome you all. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. J. Maristella, for the warm welcome and your encouraging words. Now I request Dr. P. Sophia Persis to introduce the Secretary of Nazareth Margoshish College at Plainmine.
Good afternoon, my dear colleagues and participants gathered in the online portal from different parts of India. It's my pleasure and privilege to introduce our beloved Secretary, Mr. S. Prem Kumar Raj Singh, who has warmly accepted our invitation and encouraged us in all ways to conduct a 7-day national level online faculty development program. To highlight the stature of our secretary, he is a prestigious member of Tamil Nadu Christian Employee Welfare Board and manager of high and higher secondary school CSI Thoothukudi Nazareth Diocese. He belongs to an eminent and distinguished DSF family who excel in marine product export. Our secretary has devoted his time and energy to uplift our college, which holds the name of the selfless young missionary and visionary Reverend Canon Arthur Margoshish, father of Nazareth. Following his footprints on the sands of time, our secretary, Mr. S. Prem Kumar Raj Singh, strives hard to understand the need of the hour for the welfare of the staff and students. His intellectual and innovative attitude steer our college towards the path of victory. Along with our principals, staff, and students, I wish our secretary, Mr. Prem Kumar Raj Singh, to embrace biggest blockbuster in the days to come. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, it's my honor to invite our respected principal in charge, Dr. R. G.V. Esther Ratnakumari, to grace us with her words of wisdom.
Good afternoon, everybody. Warm greetings to you in the precious name of our Lord Jesus Christ. At the outset, I thank God Almighty for having blessed us to conduct this 7 days FDP on paradigm shift in emergent English literary discourses. And I seek His grace and guidance throughout this program. I deem it a great pleasure to give the inaugural address in the 7-day FDP, which was arranged by the English Department, PG and Research Department of English. Indeed, a great cooperative effort has been put forward by our faculty members in conducting this program, and I wish them a grand success in all their endeavor. At this juncture, I would like to thank our Secretary, Mr. S. Premkumar Raja Singh, for all his strenuous efforts he has taken in the upliftment of our college, which lies in a very rural area in the southern part of India. We are highly privileged to have eminent resource persons from different renowned institutions to enlighten the participants with various interesting topics. Today, we are happy to have Dr. J. John Sekar from the American College, Madurai, as the resource person. He will be duly introduced by our professor, Dr. Y. Pramila Anbarasi. On day 2, we have Dr. J. Jehosan Jiresh from Christ deemed to be University, Bangalore. On day 3, we have Dr. Chimne Morelli from Samantha Dharma College, Alapla. Day 4, we have Dr. J. John Stewart Raj from Christ University, Pune. Day 5, we have Dr. Samuel Rufus from Madras Christian College, Chennai. Day 6, we have Dr. Dilip Bharat from Maharaja Krishna Shinji University, Bhavnagar University, Gujarat. Day 7, we have Dr. S. Armstrong from University of Madras. We are thankful to them for having given their consent to deliver the lecture despite their tight schedule. I greet them sincerely and welcome them warmly on behalf of our college management and English department. The main objective of this program is to enrich the knowledge of all the participants who are connected through network for the faculty development. I wish all the best to all the participants who have joined the program from all over India and across the globe. I'm sure that this 7-day faculty development program will be very useful for all the participants to excel in their roles as educators. I wish you all a pleasant and enjoyable 7 days online journey in pursuit of faculty development. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring address. To introduce the theme and objectives of this FDP, I call upon Mrs. J.T. Vincy Mabel, ma'am.
Hello everyone and good afternoon to one and all. I'm Vincy. I'm here today to share about the concept of FDP. Before that, I would like to thank the organizing committee for giving me the opportunity to explain the concept of this FDP. Next, most importantly, we are honored to be hosting the second FDP of its kind, a testament to our commitment to fostering academic excellence and innovation. Thank you for this opportunity. First and foremost, I would like to begin by discussing the importance of faculty development programs and their impact on the overall growth and success of educational institutions. Faculty members play a crucial role in shaping the future of students, and it is essential to equip them with the necessary skills and knowledge to excel in their roles. This comprehensive program is designed to cater to their professional development needs and address an ever-evolving demands of the education sector. The faculty development program encompasses various aspects, including pedagogy, technology, integration, research, and leadership development. By emphasizing these key areas, we are ensuring the esteemed resource persons are well prepared to deliver high-quality education, engage students effectively, foster a positive learning environment, and stay abreast of the latest trends and advancement in their respective fields. As we all know, the landscape of English literature has undergone a profound transformation in recent decades, marked by a series of paradigm shifts that have challenged traditional literary norms and opened up new avenues for creative expression. These shifts are evident in the emergence of diverse voices, innovative narrative techniques, and the heightened awareness of social and political issues. One of the most significant paradigm shifts in contemporary English literature is the increasing prominence of marginalized voices. Writers from previously underrepresented groups such as women, LGBTQ plus individuals, and people of color are now challenging the dominant literary canon and offering fresh perspectives on the human experiences. Their works often explore themes of identity, power, and social justice, giving voice to those who have historically been silenced. Another crucial paradigm shift is the rise of experimental and hybrid forms of literature. Contemporary authors are pushing the boundaries of traditional genres, blending elements of poetry, prose, drama, and visual art to create innovative and thought-provoking works. This experimentation challenges conventional notions of what constitutes literature and allows for a greater diversity of expression. Furthermore, the influence of globalization and digital technologies has had a profound impact on the English literary discourses. The interconnectedness of cultures has led to growing awareness of global issues and greater exchange of ideas between writers from different parts of the world. Digital technologies have also transformed the way literature is produced, consumed, and disseminated, creating new opportunities for literary production and audience engagement. So to conclude, paradigm shift shifts in emergent English literary discourses have led to a more diverse, inclusive, and innovative literary landscape. By challenging traditional norms and embracing new forms of expression, contemporary writers are shaping the future of English literature and reflecting the complexities of modern world. So, as a reader and writer, it is a responsibility to engage with these shifts to question the status quo and to push the boundaries of literary expression. By doing so, we can ensure the literature remains a vibrant and essential part of our cultural heritage. So let's celebrate the diversity of voices and the power of written word and the endless possibilities of the literary imagination. So thank you for your attention today. I hope you find this presentation innovative and insightful. Thank you again for your participation. Thank
இப்போ அந்த ப்ராப்பர்ட்டியை ஒரு 5 இயர்ஸ்க்கு அப்புறம் நானே மிச்சர் ஷேரே வாங்கணும்னா வாங்கிக்கலாம். அது இன்னும் கஷ்டம். ஏன்னா அதனாலதான் வாங்கும்போது நம்ம என்ன பண்ணலாம்னா 75%.
Thank you, Ms. Mabel, for guiding us through the objectives. As George Bernard Shaw once said, life isn't about finding yourself, life is about creating yourself. This FDP will help us all create new academic identities. Now it's my pleasure to request Dr. Y. Premila Anbarasi to introduce our distinguished chief guest, Dr. J. John Sekar, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Jude. Happy afternoon to all of you. I am delighted and elated to introduce today's resource person, Dr. J. John Sekar, former head and associate professor, Research Department of English in the American College, Madurai. He is a magnanimous person. He is a man of extraordinary caliber. He is a leading expert in literary theory, English language teaching as a second language, and teaching and learning in higher education. He is a reviewer of a dozen journals indexed in Web of Science. He has authored 12 books and published more than 200 articles and papers. He has traveled extensively, delivering keynote speeches and conducting workshops at numerous national and international conferences and seminars. His passion for language and literature can be seen in his writings and speeches. He has an insatiable curiosity in teaching and learning. Through his works and speeches, he continues to inspire a generation of English language teachers, researchers, and students. It is an honor to have you with us, sir. Thank you so much for your presence, and we are eagerly looking forward to your speech. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Dear organizers, can I start?
Sir, 1 minute, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, Anbarasi ma'am, for the thoughtful introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, it is an honor to have with us today Dr. J. John Sekar, who will now deliver the chief guest address. Sir, you can start your presentation.
Thank you. Respected officers of the college, Dr. Jude, can you hear me?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
So, respected officers of the college, including the principal who offered the felicitations, the convener, Dr. Beulah, and the coordinator, Dr. Jude, and other members of the panel who have convened this 7-day FDP program, and members of the Department of English, my colleagues who are participating in this 7-day FDP, particularly those participants who chose to join me today, though being a Sunday and being an afternoon session. And I'm happy to see some of the names of some of my old students who are attending this FDP. I thank the organizers for having invited me to be the first speaker in this series. First, at the outset, I would like to place a caveat Don't blame Dr. Beulah or Dr. Jude if something goes wrong as far as the contents of this 7-day works of FDP goes wrong, because I am the culprit who suggested this title and I suggested these areas, because honestly I feel that teaching fraternity ought to familiarize themselves with these new emerging or emergent areas. We call it literary discourses. And perhaps some other universities or some autonomous colleges, I do believe that they would have prescribed a course or two on one of these themes. But then we should not be rushed to include these themes, these discourses into our curriculum, either at the undergraduate or postgraduate level, unless otherwise faculty members familiarize themselves with these concepts and start reading literary texts that deal with these discourses. And first, faculty members must do a lot of research in these areas. Just because these areas have been introduced in the West, immediately the next moment they can't be introduced, they should not be introduced in India, which is basically a developing country with its own constraints in terms of infrastructure and epistemology, because most of these emergent areas are reflective of the Western literary discourses. And we people, we must be very careful about reading them and adapting them to our Indian cultural context instead of simply aping the West. If digital humanities works well in Western countries, doesn't mean that it should also equally work well in Indian context. So with that caveat, now let me start. The title, I was very conscious about the title that I suggested to Dr. Beulah, and then she really agreed. Whether she understood the way I understood the title that I have suggested, I don't know. Maybe I'll have to wait for a while for Dr. Beulah to respond to it. Maybe when she proposes a vote of thanks. And I avoid addressing individuals by name, because the friend who prayed to God already included all the names individually, and then I think God has taken care of our presence here, today's attendance. So I need not repeat all those names again. So friends, the title, my talk would cover not the individual sub themes that have been chosen by or allotted to the different speakers whom we are going to listen to from day 2 onwards. My talk between now and maybe for another 1.5 hours or so, or until you feel tired, ask me to wind up, or 5 o'clock, whichever is earlier. No, now we will agree on that. My aim is to introduce theoretically these areas. Let me start with the title. My title of my talk today is Theoretical Frameworks. I'm not going to deal with either environmental humanities or energy humanities or blue humanities or post-human literary texts or digital humanities or health and medical humanities. And finally, my scholar Stewart would be talking about testimonial literature. So I'm not going to deal with any one of these 7 areas in detail, because it's up to the resource person to explore each of these areas. Each area has got several aspects. I hope that they will either deal with each of these topics in a generic style, or they might choose one of the aspects and then they will familiarize you with. But my aim is to explain to you what are the paradigm shifts that have taken place in literary studies in the last a decade or so, and how it has been qualitatively different from the literary curriculum that we have had for the past 100 years, ever since the literary studies was instituted in the universities of Oxford and Cambridge, and maybe 50 years earlier that we had literary studies instituted first in the world, English literary studies in India, in the 3 universities, University of Madras, Bombay, and Calcutta. So India is the first country to have experimented the institutionalization of English literary studies as a degree course for the first time in the early second half of the 19th century, when these universities were established. So the introduction of English literary studies as a discipline, as an academic discipline within academia is a colonial project. Knowingly or unknowingly, we continue this colonial project even after we got independence, 75 years after we got independence. But from time to time, now we keep making changes in our literary curriculum. And for the first time in the second decade of 21st century, there have been number of shifts that I could see within literary canon. Of course, I don't think that there can be any older participant today in this program than me. Some 30 years ago, when I joined academia in the year 1987, I found a fault with then seniors because they were backward in their understanding of literary curriculum. That is what I assessed. When I retired last year, I retired the same feeling that even many of my own students who are working in different colleges continue to have inherited that old backward tendency from their teachers, and it continues forever, I believe. In spite of all those literary realities within academia in India, we can't turn a blind eye to what's happening around the world, particularly in the Western culture, because from where only we get inspiration for all kinds of changes, not only literature, even in other fields, including science and technology, economy, and other fields. So, what is the paradigm shift that we have detected in literary curriculum? I'm not talking about. I am not focusing on reading of literature for pleasure at our home. We are all serious academics, and it's an FDP program. We want to professionally improve ourselves, and therefore, I focus on our dealing with literature for a purpose other than just mere pleasure. That kind of aesthetic theories now we have to forget for a while, because aesthetics is something to do with individuals, not collective group like classrooms or academia. Students spend a lot of money, time. They are with us for 3 years, and government is spending a lot of money, or institution is spending a lot of money on teachers' salaries. So we are dealing with an academic discourse. We are dealing with an academic program. We are dealing with an academic theme. And at the end of the day, students are going to be awarded degrees in literary studies, and therefore we should own responsibility, because it's a serious matter. And our students with the degrees, they are going into this larger world, and they are expected to be responsible citizens and workforce, and therefore we are not dealing with literature for the sake of consuming literature. That's one of the theories, literature for aesthetic purpose. But no, we have to deal with literature for academic purpose, for a more serious purpose, like for vocational purpose, for making, for creating a responsible citizenry in this, in this world, and for Indian democracy to thrive well. I think that at least we deal with the literature students. No, they must become responsible forces to make changes in other students or at other people at workplace. So, what is the paradigm shift that we have seen? First thing that you must understand, what do you mean by paradigm shift? I start with this phrase because very many times now we just take for granted that we know certain things. We don't clarify ourselves on certain concepts. Okay, so paradigm shift is a basic change, a fundamental change. So it's important expression, a fundamental change. The way we think, the way we perceive, the way we understand in our context is literature. The way we understand, we think about literature, the way we perceive literature, the way we understand literature, the way we teach literature, the way we ought to teach literature, the way we view students, the way we view literary text, everything. Now there are changes. So that first you must be aware and we must accept. Now, the way I understood literature, the way I perceived literature, the way I thought about literature, the way I thought about teaching, the way I thought about learning literature, the way I thought about teachers, the way I read literature, the way I claimed that I enjoyed literature, some 50 years ago is different from the way I should do, the way I expect my students to do, because there have been a lot of changes in this particular field. And that's why we have given this title that number of changes have taken place in our field, literary studies, which witness a number of new areas in terms of discourses. So that is what I want to explain next. So paradigm shift is fundamental changes in the way we treat literature, we understand literature. And emergent literary discourses, emerging that is coming up new. What do you mean by literary discourses? Literary discourses do not simply mean different courses. Literary discourses simply do not mean different genres. Okay, not different papers. Time to time, you are different universities who are experimenting. Now, of late, Tamil Nadu Council for Higher Education has also made some experiment. So literary discourses do not mean literary courses, but literary discourses mean themes and techniques, right? Styles, the purposes, the way we think about a larger world, the way we think about others, the way we articulate about what we think about the world. When I say world, two types of world. We deal with fictional world, but somehow fictional world has got some connection with social world in which we are placed. So literary class is literature class is a social world. College is a social world. You and I live in this world. This is a social world. And literature represents a fictional world. That's why we use the word representation. So literature represents this social world, but there is no one-to-one relationship between fictional world and social world. All that is understood in fictional world is not directly applicable to social world. All our aspirations, all our expectations, all our thinking, all our disputes, no, all our thinking, all our philosophies, all our political system, all our economies are not necessarily reflected in fictional world either. So though there is connection between fictional world and social world, there is a lot of disconnection also. There is no one-to-one relationship between fictional world and social world. And fictional world is also millions of fictional worlds. Each writer is creating their own fictional world, and a writer belonging to different social realities also. No, they create their own fictional world. So Shakespearean fictional world is not that of Kamala Das fictional world. Okay, so fictional worlds are many, multiple. So you can't say that one fictional world. Okay, so literary discourses mean different themes, different techniques, different styles, different structures, and different genres, of course, of the fictional world that appeal to our social realities. And from tomorrow onwards, you'll be dealing with one particular literary discourse, and it's a 7-day FDP. But since I take the first day, I'm talking about the theory of these discourses. So the remaining period, consists of only 6 days, and therefore I think that we could accommodate only 6 different new literary discourses. And Bill and I try to get a Canadian expert on energy humanities, but so we could not come. But still, I thought that I could introduce that discourse also, theory of that discourse also. So my proposal is I will talk to you about these. I'll talk about the theory of these discourses. Yeah, I focus on each of these 7 areas. 7 areas are there is a purpose for which behind listing these areas in a particular way. I combine the first 3 together: environmental humanities, energy humanities, and blue humanities. Just you keep these 3 areas together. And usually I request one of my young faculty members to help me in preparing PPTs. Today, I purposely didn't do it because when we have this kind of online programs, one of the pities is that I'm not able to see any one of you, and you may not participate, may not care to see me all the time. and you'll also be involved in multitasking. I know that is the typical post-pandemic social world. But anyhow, if you are serious about what you are doing now, you can keep a piece of paper or a diary and so on. You can take down some of the theories that I am going to refer to, so that at a leisure you can do a lot of reading about these theories. One of the changes, one of the basic changes, fundamental changes that I see in emergent literary discourses compared to literary discourses of yesteryears is this. Now, each literary discourse, is accompanied with a host of theories. It was not so earlier. Of course, after literature was written, a theory was created, whether it is Renaissance theory or a romantic theory or Victorian theories or modern theory. First literature was written. So, for example, romantic theories of literature were understood, were inferred from the works of those five great romantic poets. Then we created a theory, a set of theories called romantic theories. Okay, but now it is not like that. Concurrently, when there is a new literary discourse, the writers are well informed first theoretically by the theoretical discourses. So, which comes first, egg or chicken? That question doesn't arise in this postmodernist world. Theory comes first, literary texts come first, or both appear simultaneously. And my understanding is that theories are coming in a very large way. Theories are being published even in the daily newspapers, so social media and so on, maybe in the form of articles, later still books. And these ideas are at the back of the young writers who are influenced by the theories when they attempt. So, small idea acts as a spark. So so you can't deal with this new literary discourses without a formal understanding of the theories which have produced these literary discourses. So there are theoretical discourses, there are philosophical discourses, there are social discourses, there are psychological discourses, there are economic discourses. Okay, there are digital discourses, there are memory discourses, which have nothing to do with literature. There are post-colonial discourses. Post-colonial discourses are different from post-colonial literature. Post-colonial literatures are reflective of these post-colonial discourses. So we talk about Shakespeare studies. We talk about women's studies. We talk about other types of studies. Gender studies. So gender studies or women's studies or Renaissance studies or Shakespearean studies, they are different. They are non-literary discourses. What are literary discourses? Perhaps you can say feminist criticism. Perhaps you say that women in literature. So something like that. When you talk about environmental literature, you have environmental theories for now. Those theories have influenced these writers. Whether writers are exactly reflecting those theories or not, these writers are influenced by the theories called environmental theories. So, friends, let me let me go by this order. Environmental humanities, number one, and then closely related to that is energy humanities, and still it is connected with that is blue humanities. So, environmental humanities, energy humanities, blue humanities, except the second one, the rest, the first and the third one, I think different speakers will deal with. Then I combine post-humanism and digital humanities. Post-humanism and digital humanities, because both depend on, both talk about the important role of technology in our human lives. Okay, so humanism before technology, humanism after technology. Humanism after technology, now we call it post-humanism. Okay, so humanism plus technology. And you have digital humanities. Okay, so environmental humanities, energy humanities, blue humanities, one band. Post-humanism and digital humanities, one band. And the last two are what is called health humanities. A core area of health humanities is medical humanities. So I suggested to Dr. Beulah to put it together as a synonyms, because it's up to the resource person to highlight either health humanities or one aspect of health humanities is called medical humanities. And finally, testimonial literature, which is also coming up in a very large way. So these are the 7 different humanities that I will be introducing to you today theoretically. Secondly, first I said what is paradigm shift, then I said what is literary discourse. Then I enumerated 7 different emerging literary discourses. The third point before I start in environmental humanities is the term humanities. Now, what do you mean by humanities? English department within academia, English department is identified as part of humanities. Anyone who is familiar with the American College campus now will understand that there is a building called Humanities Hall. A 3-story building is called Humanities Hall. So literature is a part of humanities. Okay, so what do you mean by humanities? When you say environmental humanities or energy humanities or blue humanities or humanism or digital humanities or health or medical humanities and testimonial literature, this humanities means it signals that each of these 7 areas is basically multidisciplinary. I think that my colleagues who are attending today will understand with me that we are all suffering a lot in our professional life, dealing with the different literary theories, because literary theories are multidisciplinary. It is a systemic failure, or it is our educational system. It is our colonial educational system that has been allowed to continue, even as I said, 75 years after independence. No, basically it is colonial. The structure is colonial. We are not able to go out of the clutches already prescribed by Lord Macaulay. Okay, so there are very many good things that Macaulay has introduced, but bad things also. One of the bad things is the introduction of this type of courses. So maybe literature is the only subject, or one of the very few subjects where again and again we go back to the earliest. In colleges also we start with say Wordsworth, and in grade 5 or 6 when poems are introduced, again we have introduced Wordsworth. We start with the elementary items of English grammar in schools. The same thing also we do it when students come to us in college in the first semester. Whereas in other disciplines, no, they don't. They start with where they leave at the end of their +2 courses. They start anew. But we only again because we think that humanities as subjects appeal to all people, all times, all ages, and so on. So as long as whether it is TRB exam meant for college teachers, you start with the Chaucer. School teachers, again you start with the Chaucer. Teachers recruited for polytechnic engineering colleges, again with the Chaucer. I don't know what has Chaucer to do with these different systems of levels of education. I don't know, but because this is something that we still believe in, the philosophy given to us bequeathed to us by Lord Macaulay. So first you must understand that literary studies now, English literary studies is no longer monodisciplinary. You cannot start and stop reading literature. You cannot start teaching literature and end teaching literature. You have to do a lot of things before you start reading, and you have to do a lot of things after reading a literature. Literature comes in between. So literature is sandwiched towards something that's going before and after. So what is the thing that goes before we start reading literature? If you want to read literature for the sake of literature, if you want to read literature for the sake of aesthetics, for the sake of pleasure, it's an idle activity. Now, as it was understood by Victorian gentlemen, not women, it is only a man who thought. Victorian men, they thought those who had leisure time were allowed to pursue liberal education. Okay, those who had other works to do, you do it. In Tamil, Kulakalvi. When you got some family business, you do it. Why do you waste your time reading literature? Literature is meant for those gentlemen. Who is a gentleman? Gentleman, one Victorian definition of gentleman is one who doesn't do any work. Gentleman is one who offers work for other people. In Indian context, Tamil we say natama. They have plenty of time. They have nothing else to do, and therefore they are privileged, get into another world called this fictional world, right? So they forget this world. As many of you know, regular film watchers, movie goers, when you are sitting and watching film, you forget this world. You are in that world. And Tamil society is notorious for mistaking one world for another world. No, we believe what's happening in the film, no, is all happen in hero. That hero will also save all the people here in Tamil Nadu also. Whereas in literate society like Kerala, now they make a distinction between what is film world and what is this social world. Okay, so we must be basically interdisciplinary in approach. We must read books on history. We must read books on philosophy. We must read books on linguistics. We must read books on religion. These are all, anything that deals with the man is called humanities. Okay, so all these things are history. They contribute to, So without the knowledge of basic knowledge of all those fields, without updating ourselves in those areas, we can call them as a para-literary discourses. You should know what's happening in latest history, human history. You should know what is happening in geology. You know what's happening. In addition to that, if you want to understand blue humanities or digital humanities or even post-humanism and medical and health humanities, you have to do a lot of reading on medical sciences also. Don't think that is meant for those, the physicists. No, I'm sorry, physicians. Okay, so we have to have, there are a number of general books that are about health and medicine. Okay, so we ought to have a good knowledge of knowledge in all these fields. Then come to literature. You read literature. After reading literature, you see whether there is an interaction between those non-literary discourses and literary discourses. Then you decide how you are going to teach your student. Then you decide what could be the outcome of your teaching. Okay, so when we adopt this OBE system, choice-based credit system, English department is one which suffers a lot, because when we are asked to spell out what is the outcome of a particular course, we are unable to write down. Maybe we take our own time to write down five outcomes, but whether we are checking, whether we are testing if students have achieved those outcomes or have memorized the characters, other data that are available in literary text. So English department faculty members have got a lot of responsibilities to relate our subject, our knowledge to this social world. Gone are the days when we used to have a kind of an exclusive world. Now the higher authorities like UGC and NAC and NIRF, no, they don't exclude us; they include us. So we have to contribute ourselves, to society, otherwise, we'll become highly irrelevant. We will become already irrelevant. Nobody respects us. No, but English department, Tamil department. Because they think that we are in a different world. We can't afford to be in a different world. We are in a different world, when you are reading literature. But before reading literature, after reading literature, you have to come back to this social world. That is reality. So, friends, with these words, let me first start environmental humanities. In each of these 7 topics that I am going to deal with, as I told you, first I'll introduce what these humanities. When I talk about humanities, I have literature in my mind. I don't have history or philosophy or religion or psychology. Those things are also involved. So when it all depends on how you understand humanities. If you understand humanities monodisciplinary wise, then you say you use it as singular. Then you use the third person singular, like environmental humanities explores. Environmental humanities explores, because understand environmental humanities you take for conveniently as literature. If you have other core disciplines in your mind, then use them in plural. Environmental humanities explore. So depending upon whether you take it as singular or plural, the listeners will understand whether you have in your mind the literature exclusively or you take other disciplines also along with that. Okay, so first I'll give you what is maybe I'll give you maybe 5 or 6. Now, if you have a pen and paper, you can take down these ideas, particularly the theories or some of the keywords that you will get to know when I use them. It's a kind of exercise for you. Or if Beulah has already recorded the whole thing, that and she may have it on YouTube. I have no idea. So as we expect our students to be attentive in our classes and take them some notes, we'll be happy. That I'll also happy, if you make a note of some of the ideas that strike you. So first I'll introduce each of these 7 discourses. Then I'll talk about the theory of each discourse. So these are two parts of my talk as far as each discourse is concerned. So let me first talk about environmental humanities. As I told you that somebody is going to deal with, I think that Dr. Rufus MCC is going to deal with this thing. So I'm not going in detail. What does environmental humanities do? Environmental humanities explores, when I use it the singular because I use it from literature point of view, it explores the complex relation between humans and the environment. We are talking about social world, how this is dealt with in fictional world. This relationship between humans and the environment. What is the environment? Other than human, whatever you see in this world, no, we take the agency. Humans beings are capable of, they are alone capable of understanding and protecting. In so that kind of human centric, no. So that way it's a complex relationship. There is a very complex relationship between humans and the environment, and it emphasizes ecological awareness. Ecological awareness, environmental ethics, something called environmental ethics. In the course of time, you will understand. So I expect you to keep these words in your mind. No? Ecological awareness and environmental ethics. In what way do literary texts contribute to ecological awareness? Is it simply in environmental sciences or botany people or biology people who should talk about ecological awareness? Is it not our responsibility? It's not the responsibility of literary writers to focus on that. Yes, environmental humanity writers, they explore the complex relation between humans and the environment, how humans boss over the entire environment, how we think that the entire environment exists for the sake of us. We are the consumer, we are active, whereas the environment is passive. Man is more important than animals. Man is more important than dogs on the street. It's a quite common now that we lament that dogs are everywhere freely roaming around. Corporation is not doing anything. As if we think that the entire space belongs to human beings, not for the dogs, not for the cats, not for other animals, not for the other no. When the cows and buffaloes, which are very common roaming around the main road thoroughfares of Madurai city, they informed citizens immediately. They make a complaint. They are expecting the corporation to come and catch all those buffaloes, because they are causing a huge hindrance to the pedestrians or the road users. Because the road is mine, this area is mine. This is for human beings, not for animals. Animals are subalterns. They must be put under the, and governments also now. If you read the laws of the corporation of different corporations, they say that within the corporation limit, we are not supposed to rear animals. You have them only outside the corporation limit. You see that how we are subalternizing other, because we think that the world is for us. So there is a very complex relation between humans and environment. As I told you, it is interdisciplinary interdisciplinary study dealing with how literature represents nature. Nature is represented as Wordsworth does. It's a eco-critics find fault with Wordsworth. Eco-critics find fault with Shakespeare for having created storm as a background, storm as a metaphor in King Lear. Storm is a storm. That you should agree. You must accept. It's very wild. If you do not know how to bring out the inner turmoil of Lear, what's happening within Lear? Why do you vulgarize a storm? Why do you make storm as a metaphor? Storm is the storm. So how literature is represented? Nature is nature. Nature can't be your guide. Nature should not be your guide. Nature cannot be your God, as Wordsworth is doing. No, he doesn't have words to describe nature. Instead of describing nature, Wordsworth using all other metaphors that he has in his kitty. So how literature represents nature? How literature represents environmental degradation? Does literature talk about climate change? What's happening in Baku now? Till yesterday, it was extended by 1 day. The conference should have been over on Friday. It was extended till yesterday. What's happening? Developed countries are washing off their hands. We can't give you more than 250 million US dollars. But the developing countries are demanding for 700 billion dollars. So what would the climate change? What do your literary texts do with that? What does your literature do? So this is what environmental humanities deals with. So this will explore how humans interact with, how humans perceive, how humans represent the environment. Okay, so there must be reciprocal influence of culture and nature. Nature is nature, culture is ours, man-made, culture is man-made. So there must be a reciprocal influence of culture and nature. Now, past 1 month, there is a litigation in Madras High Court, Madurai branch about how Tamarabarani river is polluted. Madurai Vai is already polluted, is gone. It has become a big, it is no longer a river. So there must be a reciprocal influence between the influence of culture and nature. No? As I said, it challenges human-centered worldviews. Everything is centering out a human being. The whole world is there because maybe the first culprit is Christian God. The Christian God says, everything is created, the fishes of the sea, the fowls of the air, meant for Adam and Eve. You have dominion over, I think this is what Bible says. Man can have dominion over the seas and the air. See that this human-centered worldview is challenged by environmental humanities. Rather, it advocates for an ecocentric perspective. Okay, not anthropocentric perspective, ecocentric perspective that considers intrinsic value of non-human entities and the entire ecosystems. Okay, and it studies human interaction, human interactions, diachronically. Historical human interaction with the environment, not only how we deal with the environment now, how we dealt with the environment in the past, and we are being paid now. Now, how colonies destroyed the environment of developing countries, the colonized nations. Now we are paying for that. So environmental humanities is exploring how these relationships evolved over time and shaped ecological changes, either let it be deforestation or urbanization or industrialization, whatever it may be. The past and present, merge together, and we are responsible for the future generation. And therefore, environmental humanities also addresses the role of technology. Role of technology is both positive and negative. Role of technology has addressed certain environmental challenges, but environmental challenges are also contributed by technology. At the same time, technology is used to solve those environmental challenges. And it also examines its cultural and social implications. Okay, on the one way, you happy driving your car on 4 lane, but to lay 4 lane, you have to cut down all the trees. The beauty is gone. The aesthetics of the main roads, in the whole country is gone, because you want to have 4 lanes, you want 6 lanes. You want all this modern, ultra modern development at the cost of farmers, at the cost of farming land, at the cost of what happened? Birds migrate, and the whole ecosystem is how does literature respond to? Okay, and finally, environmental humanities also acknowledges the agency of non-human entities. Okay, not agents of human alone. You cannot ever look at everything from human point of view. Non-human entities like animals, plants, ecosystems, no, they have their own agency. They can express themselves. See that many of you may have pets in your home. Look at the dog. Don't they cry? Don't they do everything that you do? Are they not loyal? Maybe no human being must understand that the virtue loyalty only from the dogs, not from human being. That is their virtue. So animals and plants and ecosystems, when you cut down the tree bleeds, the tree cries, the tree sheds its blood. But without a human heart, we just fell down all trees for the sake of human development or urban expansion. So all non-human entities also have their own agency, and they have their own environmental histories, which which outnumber human existence. You know that number of trees. If you go to hill stations, which are 200 years old, 300 years old, but you can't talk about human beings. So friends, with this little background about environmental humanities, let me go to the theoretical underpinnings, the theory that informs environmental humanities. Okay, first, eco-criticism. Eco-criticism is foundational to environmental humanities because it focuses on how literature, other cultural artifacts, not only literature, other cultural artifacts reflect, critique, and shape perceptions of nature and environment. We talk about literary ecology. So literary ecology extends this critiquing, reflecting, shaping of our perceptions of nature and environment by examining how narratives and metaphors of the natural worldscape, how the metaphors of the natural world shape cultural attitudes. So when you read literature, what kind of cultural attitudes are being formed? And this literary ecology questions anthropocentric views, looking at everything from man's point of view, okay, and advocates for a more ecologically aware of our cultural framework. Okay, so first theory that informs environmental humanities is eco-criticism. Number two, what is called Anthropocene. I don't know whether you have heard this term or Anthropocene. Anthro means a man. Anthropocene, P-O-C-E-N-E, Anthropocene, meaning significant human impact on Earth's ecosystem. We exert significant human impact on the entire Earth's system. So that is called Anthropocene. So the concept of Anthropocene is central to environmental humanities because scholars in this particular field theorize Anthropocene as a time. Anthropocene, man's impact on human beings, impact on the Earth's ecosystem, is seen as a time that requires new ethical, philosophical, and social approaches in order to address humanity's effect on this planetary health. Because of our action, the entire planet is affected. The entire planet is in danger. So that environmental humanities deals with. And number three, what is called environmental ethics that I referred to a little earlier. Environmental ethics examines the moral relationship between humans and the natural world. Natural world is the world in which we live, and the cultured society we call social world. So natural world, we are living in natural world. So what is the moral relationship between humans and natural world? It questions traditional human-centered values and advocates for the intrinsic worth of all species, all ecosystem. Each, even lizard in our home has its own right to exist. Cockroach has got its own right to exist in the place where it wants to exist, but we kill. No, the idea in part of environmental ethics is deep ecology. Deep ecology extends this idea and promotes biocentric perspective. It is not a human-centric perspective, but biocentric. What is biocentric? Life-centered. Do you think that human beings alone have life? We all have. All other species have life. Flora and fauna, they have their life. So biocentric perspective that values ecological systems independently of their utility to humans, whether those systems are useful for human beings or not, whether a cockroach is useful to you or not, a cockroach has its own legitimate right to live in this natural world, because the natural world doesn't simply consist of human beings alone. When you have a house, when you build a house, uninvited guests are lizards and cockroaches and other rodent members of rodent family. They will come. They have the right, but we kill. This is what we mean by environmental ethics. Number four, ecological humanism. That theory de-emphasizes human centrality. Ecological post-humanism. Ecological post-humanism. Post-humanism, now that we are going to talk about, it de-emphasizes, because we are overemphasized. Humanism overemphasizes the role of humans. This world is meant for human beings. Okay, this is for humans to live. Renaissance idea. Even God has no place in this world. God is treated as a guest. God can come On Sunday, be with us the forenoon, then must go. Afternoon, we must mind our own business, attending FDP program. And during festivals, all gods can come and be with us for 3-4 days. Then they must go back to their own world. We may call them heaven. This world is meant for human beings. This was created for human beings. Man can lord over the world. This is humanistic understanding. But post-humanism de-emphasizes human centrality by highlighting the interconnectedness between humans, non-humans, and ecosystem. Humans, animals, and other things we call non-humans and ecosystem. We are all interconnected. When there is no lizard, there will be a lot of insects in your house after 6 o'clock. So we are all interconnected, depend on each other. We are all parasites on each other. So this ecological post-humanist theory challenges the boundaries between human and non-human. What is human? What is non-human? Can you apply for Patta? The entire world, entire planet is meant for only human beings. And therefore, this theory suggests that humans are embedded. They are planted, they are embedded within a larger ecological networks, which includes animals, plants, and inorganic matter. Not even organic, inorganic matter also matters a lot. And number 5, political ecology. At the beginning, I told you must read books and articles about these theories if you want to read texts that deal with environmental humanity. So, political ecology. What does political ecology do? It examines the power dynamics, inequalities involved in environmental issues. It considers how environmental degradation disproportionately, it affects everybody. Environmental degradation affects everyone, but disproportionately affects marginalized communities. When there is a tsunami, when there is a calamity, when there is a floods, it's only the poor people. People who are living in vulnerable areas, they are affected. People who are living in big bungalows, that above middle class, they are not affected. That when there was recently last month, there were floods in Madurai. Those areas are below middle class areas. It is only those areas, because it is those people who could afford to build houses in such places, and they were built. Now they are facing the fury of nature, not the people who are well placed. So environmental degradation affects everybody, but disproportionately affects the marginalized communities. Okay, and if you go to villages, socially, those people who are treated socially inferior, where do they have their slums? Where do they have their colonies? In Tamil, we have colonies. Where do they call it? On the fringes of the village, not at the center of the village, not at the part of the village. So it is those people who first are affected by any calamity that arises due to environmental degradation. Okay, and they are asking about environmental justice. Environmental justice, which is part of environmental ethics and political ecology, critiques systems that prioritize the profit over ecosystem. Everything, that what happened in Wayanad, it's all because of human greediness. No, our system prioritizes profit for ecology, priority over even human health. Okay, Union government has refused to declare what happened in Wayanad as a natural disaster. I don't know what other things should happen so that governments can declare, because who perished? It is working class people perished. Who lost their homes? It is working class people. Their lives are not so valuable as politicians or who are well placed. So environmental justice and political ecology. Number 6, ecofeminism. That also informs environmental humanities. Ecofeminism explores connection between exploitation of nature and women. Women are exploited. Nature is also exploited. And ecofeminism critiques patriarchal structures. Okay, not individual. The very patriarchal structure that is the bedrock of all inequalities that justify these patriarchal structures justify environmental destruction. Okay, the patriarchal structures justify gender inequality also. So ecofeminist theories like Vandana Shiva argue that logic of domination that underpins environmental exploitation is linked to gendered oppression. Okay, and therefore they propose alternative frameworks that emphasize care, cooperation, and mutual respect for the earth. Mutual respect by humans and the earth. And therefore, ecofeminism encourages environmental humanities scholars to consider gendered perspectives in environmental issues. Who makes a lot of damage to nature, men folk or women folk, and therefore to advocate for inclusivity and sustainable practices. Okay? The seventh theory that is connected with environmental humanities is indigenous environmental knowledge. Indigenous environmental knowledge and decolonial theory. You are familiar with the post-colonial theory. Now we talk about the decolonial theory. So indigenous environmental knowledge and decolonial theory offer critical perspectives on how indigenous peoples interact. Tribal peoples all over the world are being displaced by the governments because they want to give it to the capitalists. I don't know the name who are the leading capitalists in India. I don't know. You know whose name is now is figuring now in the United States media and Indian media. You know, the indigenous people know they have a very good knowledge of the local flora and fauna. Now they interact with the nature. They understand the natural world. They live on they live their life in the tribal areas, in the remote mountains, hills, on reciprocal, sustainable relationship with the entire ecosystem. They don't spoil, but only the governments now displace those people to some other place, and the entire thing is handed over to the capitalists. So, decolonial scholars critique the impact of colonialism on indigenous lands, cultures, and environmental knowledge, and advocating for indigenous sovereignty, recognition of the indigenous ecological practices. Okay, so there are very many Indian writers in English, novelists now who deal with this particular idea. And number 8 is affect theory. Affect. What is affect theory? It examines the role of emotions in shaping human responses to environmental issues. அந்த மரத்தை வெட்டாதீங்க, பச்சை மரத்தை வெட்டினா பச்சை பிள்ளை வெட்டுறது சமம். Village people, women, I never heard men saying, village women used to say not to cut down the trees, the greenwood trees. If you cut out the greenwood trees, that equivalent to cutting down your kids, your children. See the emotions, no? The role of emotion shaping human responses to environmental issues. And considering how feelings like awe, grief, or anxiety affect our relationship with the nature. Okay? So environmental affect theories explore how emotional experiences can inspire environmental awareness or environmental activism. So this perspective encourages a deeper understanding of the psychological and emotional dimensions of environmental issues. So cognitive system alone cannot help. Emotions also matter as far as the maintaining the mutual reciprocal relationship between humans and the environment. And 9, material eco-criticism. I don't know whether you heard about these terms. Material eco-criticism and new materialism. These are the two theories that closely related theories. They emphasize the agency and vitality of non-human matter. Agency, vitality of non-human matter. Maybe rock, maybe field, maybe soil. Okay, maybe trees, maybe river, maybe riverbed. So this you have to look at certain things material as material, not as a metaphor. These entities may be organic or inorganic, maybe having life of their own like human beings or animals, or like a river or trees or flora and fauna. You may not see them having their life. So it could be organic or inorganic. Actively participate in shaping the world. It is not man who alone shapes the world. It is not men and women who alone shape the world. It is organic and inorganic entities together actively participate in shaping the world. Okay, but when the world is affected, when the environment is affected, it is man, to large extent man, not necessarily women. It is men who have to take the responsibility for affecting the environment. So according to this material eco-criticism and new materialism as a theory, the traditional, it challenges the traditional views. The traditional views see matter as passive. Kallu, mannu, mara, no, they are all passive. They are inert. They have no feeling. They have no power. And posit that nature has its own capacities. Nature has its own agencies. Okay, so see, when nature becomes a furious, what would happen? Man becomes defenseless. He can't go to any court, citing nature as a culprit. Material, by recognizing the liveliness of materials. Materials, as I told you, may be organic or inorganic. No, this material eco-criticism reframes human interactions with the environment and promotes an ethical approach to all matter in this world. Okay. Then I want to include three more theories here. What we call sustainability studies. We think that this is something to do with economics. Of course, it has to do with the economics, but it has a lot to do with the environmental humanities also. So sustainability studies, provide a framework for considering long-term ecological balance, not just within our lifetime, not for another 5 years, as our politicians plan, not for 5 years or 10 years, long-term ecological balance, because there is a lot of ecological imbalance, that after this cell phone culture in the cities, the social world, the cultured world, you don't see the birds, normal birds that visit your place, they don't come here now because of magnetic, influence. The birds and all, they gone away from our place. Now you have a movement also. So you see how we are paying for what we have been doing. So sustainable studies emphasizes practices that ensure environmental health for future generations. You have all kinds of diseases in cities. People are crazy for coming to cities, urban spaces. But most of the people who are living in cities now, they have some problem or other because of environmental degradation. They don't have environmental health, and we don't keep environmental health for future generations. You can't cross the river Vaigai in Madurai city without closing your noses. And I go for a jogging in around the lake in my area. At certain bends, I have to close my nose because such a dirty smell. The whole area is polluted. We eat chicken on Sunday and then we dump all waste things on one particular place or whichever the place outside our house, not inside our house. We just throw it on the street. What happens when Diwali comes? We now burst our crackers everywhere. We don't clean it. We expect the corporation to do it. When Pongal comes, we just eat sugarcane and then we strew around all of the waste things. No, we don't care for the sustainable development. We don't care for preserving our environmental health for future generation. Closely related to sustainability studies is what we call resilience theory. Resilience theory is a part of sustainability studies. It focuses on ecosystem's capacity to withstand and adapt. In spite of onslaught that you are making on the environment has a resilience, the power, and it withstands our onslaught and adapt to change. Somehow it adapts to a change and encourages strategies, that foster ecosystem resilience. Okay, but of course there is a limit for everything. And last but one is eco-phenomenology. Phenomenology, study of consciousness and experience. Now we talk about eco-phenomenology, a theory with ecological thought explores how humans experience and relate to nature, how we human beings experience and how we relate ourselves to nature on a subjective level, not at the cognitive level. At the subjective level, how do we view? Okay, so scholars in this particular field, they investigate how sensory experiences, how perceptions shape human environmental interactions, and therefore the scholars propose that direct embodied encounters with nature are essential. Many people in city, they don't like rain. When it starts raining, ayyo mala varudhu, ayyo, then how will have rain here? No, we don't welcome rain. No. So the direct embodied encounters with the nature are essential for fostering environmental awareness. So the eco-phenomenology encourages immersive, respectful approach. Okay, respectful approach to the environment. The respect that we have for God, we must have respect for the environment also. Okay, so the last one is environmental historiography. Historiography, you know that, but environmental historiography, what does it do? It examines historical development of human environment interactions for the past 1,000 years. Now, when you talk about eco-criticism, we talk about Tenai literature. Now, what happened? So, the historical development of human environment interactions and traces how societies have shaped and societies have been shaped, how societies have shaped and how societies have been shaped by their ecological context over time, diachronically. Okay, so it consider how past attitudes and present policies inform the present ecological crises. Maybe we are not responsible for all that is happening now. Our forefathers were also responsible for what's happening now. But what is happening now with the policies that we are making, we become responsible for what would happen in the future. Now, whether we would hand over a safe future for our younger generation. So, friends, this is about energy. I mean, this is about environmental humanities. Let me go quickly because I want to cover other fields also. Next one is energy humanities. As I told you, you can't talk about energy humanities, how literature reflects and critiques energy use, resource extraction, oil extraction, mineral extraction, extraction, and socio-political impacts and all those things. How literature is exploring. Before doing that, we must have a good knowledge of energy humanities. How would you must have knowledge of sciences also. So, in that sense, it's also an interdisciplinary field. It seeks to understand how deeply energy systems influence our daily life. How deeply energy system influence daily life. Supposing you don't have cooking gas today, you did not get the gas cylinder for a couple of days. It affects your daily life. When there is no power in the morning, it affects your daily life. You're not able to get your usual chutney. You're not able to have your idli. Amma makes only puttu or some other things that you don't like. Okay, the energy systems influence the daily life. It affects your identity also. Okay, so you do have a pakka energy, in your home. You have solar energy. You have regular conventional energy. Do you have a backup system? No, that all defines who you are. What is your status? Okay, so it encourages new ways of thinking about sustainable practices and energy ethics. Okay, and energy humanities brings a humanistic perspective to understanding and not physics perspective, not chemistry, not a technological, not a technical, not economic. Okay, all those perspectives are there, but in energy humanities talk about from humanistic perspective to understanding and energy, how energy shapes human life, how energy is shaped by human life, both energy, how energy shapes the human life, and how human life is shaped by energy. Both are both active and passive seen in this narratives and societies. Energy shapes human lives, and human lives shape energy. Okay, so energy humanities analyze the central role of energy system. When you say energy system, it may be coal or oil or gas or renewables and something happening in say, for example, Neyveli, it doesn't affect us. When something is happening, problem happening in Kudangalam, doesn't affect us because I'm Madurai. I'm outside Tamil Nadu. I'm in Kerala. That doesn't what's happening in North Chennai. It doesn't happen to me. Kalpakam. So that is kind of selfishness is there in our attitude. So energy humanities analyze the central role of energy systems in shaping our civilization, in shaping our economics, economies, in shaping our cultural imaginaries. So it focuses on human cultural aspect of energy. We are not talking about the technical aspect of energy, human aspect of energy and cultural aspects of energy. And therefore it explores energy humanities explores past, present and future energy transitions, like shifting from coal to oil and then ongoing transition to what do you say renewable energy, renewable energy sources. It also examines how these transitions affect human societies and the planet as such. Finally, it also highlights the importance of storytelling, importance of myths, cultural imaginaries surrounding energy. So there, literature has a lot of role to play. Now coming to theoretical underpinnings, theories that inform energy humanities. Number one is what is called petroculture. Petroculture, okay, it examines how oil and fossil fuels, whatever you take, extract from the earth, you call it fossil fuels. So how oil and fossil fuels shape the cultural values, societal norms, and our daily life. So that is what we mean by petroculture theory. During pandemic time period, we invited a Canadian scholar who is specializing in energy humanities, Imre Zisman, whom Dr. Beulah tried to get for today, or FDP, somehow not possible. Such scholars have explored the concept of petroculture and argue that modern society is deeply influenced by fossil fuels. We call it society, modern society now. It's all because of fossil fuels. Not only economically and technologically, but culturally and ideologically. These scholars argue that world views, values, our lifestyles of oil-dependent societies like India, we are all oil-dependent societies. We import lots and tons of oils from other countries. So our worldviews, our lifestyles are embedded, how they are embedded in literature or media and popular culture. See that, very many times mainstream literature of that we are familiar with simply ignores these ideas. Okay, so that is number one. Number two is Anthropocene, that already made a reference to. I said human activity has got of dominant impact on Earth's system, and therefore this Anthropocene, the same whatever I spoke to you about, the first one, environmental humanities, holds good here. This theory allows us to consider how cultural texts, literary texts, are treated as cultural texts. Okay, how cultural texts respond to ecological crisis associated with fossil fuel age. Number three, eco-criticism. I don't know to repeat it because eco-criticism also it offers encouraging perspectives on how literary texts represent energy and environmental issues. How they represent energy and environmental issues in the now. So that is eco-criticism. And fourth one is something that you maybe the new something, theories of temporality. Theories of temporality, something to with time through related to time through energy use. Part of theories of temporality is what is called theories of futurity. Theories of futurity, very relevant in works that imagine post-fossil fuel. If you are not going to depend on, that's what the whole world is trying. We want to have renewable energy, non-conventional energy like solar energy. You cannot go on rigging the seabed and digging the earth in order to take the fossil fuel. So what are the alternative visions for a sustainable or low energy futures? So that is what we call theories of futurity. Okay, and post-colonial studies also, as well as colonial and neo-colonial. The post-colonial studies are also instrumental in energy humanities as far as examining how energy resources are often exploited in post-colonial contexts, affecting both local communities disproportionately and perpetuating power imbalances. The biggest business group from India. Now, the guy is now caught by the US court. So bribing people in Sri Lanka, in African countries, now to establish their own power stations there. Establishing energy station. So texts are studied for how they reveal or critique the environmental and social injustices tied to energy extraction, particularly in formerly colonized regions like India and the other parts. So as far as that theme is concerned, post-colonial studies also have their own contribution to energy humanities. And political economy. Energy humanities draw a lot on political economy to understand how economic structures around energy production shape class relations class practices and inequalities. Maybe a Marxist perspective through what they call energy capitalism. Energy capitalism examines how energy sources like coal and oil have historically been essential to the development of capitalism. All those developed countries know they have exploited all natural resources. Now they are preaching to the third world countries, developing countries, not to do any injustice to the earth. They have already done enough. Enough has been done already. That's called energy capitalism. So this framework critiques how energy resources are privatized, how they are commodified, leading to exploitation and environmental degradation. The seventh one is the idea called technological sublime. We have never used a technological sublime. We talk about artistic sublime. But technological sublime explores society's awe, fascination, and reverence for industrialized advancement. See how England is, how France, how America, how the industrialized nations have made huge advancement, and therefore we have a lot of respect for a technology. We have our own fascination for technology. This fascination has made parents to put their children in technical education or technological education, not liberal arts and science education, because basically we have reverence for technology. And scholars in this area, they use the concept, this technological sublime, to analyze cultural responses. Culturally, what is our response to the technology, to large scale energy infrastructures like dams, oil rigs, power plants, displacing hundreds of families. No, that huge dam was built in Gujarat. Now, how many people, hundreds and thousands of people perished. There's lost their villages, their lives, because we want to have dams. We must build dams in order to have developed area. Building dams at the cost of what? Oil rigs. You go and rig the oil, the seabed in order to extract oil. And in power plants, no, you indiscriminately, because we do it only from human-centric point of view. So, the technological sublime examines how they inspire both wonder and ethical ambivalence. How our cultural responses to technology inspire both wonder and at the same time ethical ambivalence. Okay. The last theory associated with energy humanities is theories of societal transition. Theories of societal transition and utopian studies, because these theories provide frameworks for analyzing cultural narratives about energy futures. Okay, these theories allow scholars, readers to examine texts that imagine utopian or dystopian futures based on energy transformations. And these theories offer visions of society structured around alternative or renewable energy sources. Okay, so they provide a basis for exploring cultural resistance to and support for transitions. That is what the theory says, theories of societal transition towards sustainable energy systems. So friends, that is number 2. Number 3, blue humanities. Okay, blue humanities is also an interdisciplinary subject, and blue humanities is seen as a branch of subset of environmental humanities. That's why I told you, I am clubbing these 3: environmental humanities, energy humanities, and the blue humanities. Blue humanities focuses on the cultural, historical, and ecological, sometimes philosophical significance of oceans, seas, and other water bodies in literature. That's why now we say blue humanities. Okay, both as a physical element and as a cultural symbol. Water has a lot of cultural connotation, but that is not enough according to blue humanities. Water must be treated as a matter. It has been treated as a physical element. How the term this term blue humanities, when referring to the centrality of water, as I said, both as physical element and as a cultural symbol in the stories and survival of humanity. What is the role played by the sea? What is the role played by the oceans for human inhabitation and civilization and cultural development? It has got a huge things to offer. And what is our attitude towards this? Because all our literatures, all these times, terrestrial centric, land centric. From the days of Chaucer today, most of our literatures, they talk about about land centric human life. But how about the water centric? Okay, so this field examines humanity's relationship with marine ecosystems and emphasizes the interconnectedness of land and sea. We talk about land alone, but land cannot survive without the sea, because of sea only we get the wind and we get the monsoon. So there is not only that, many more things are there. The interconnectedness of land and sea, and the impact of our activity, the impact of the Anthropocene, our activity, the impact of our activities is not seen not only on the land, but to a large extent it is seen on the oceans also. So scholars analyze how literature reflects, how literature questions, how literature reimagines the oceans. Whether oceans are treated as something mysterious, as something sublime, something transformative. Like you can take works from Odyssey to Melville's Moby Dick. How sea is treated. But now in contemporary writings, you find a reflection of climate crisis. We have affected the oceans also. Okay, and themes like maritime exploration, coastal cultures, maritime biodiversity, and climate change. Friends, we must have some knowledge of these fields. Don't think that is meant for science people. So literary texts have to deal with these issues, because the blue humanities encourage a rethinking of terrestrial centered perspective, land centric perspective, and aim to bring oceanic spaces to the forefront of environmental and cultural discourses. We have to talk about it. It is not meant for fisher folk alone. It's for entire humanity. We have to take our responsibility. How sea is polluted. Now recently there was a litigation, Madurai High Court of Madras branch, that there is a case in Rameswaram. Large scale, the gutter is let into the sea. It affects every recently there was a whale washing ashore, and when they cut it open, tons of plastic was taken out somewhere. I don't remember this place. It was reported. So blue humanities encourages a rethinking of terrestrial centered perspective, and aims to bring, as I told you, our attention to the oceanic spaces, and we have to foreground that environmentally and culturally. Now that is what about the blue humanities. So there is a shift from land to water, land to oceans, land to other water bodies. As far as the theoretical underpinnings are concerned, theories are concerned, there is that inform the blue humanities. As I told, the blue humanities challenge terrestrial centered perspectives by examining ocean as a dynamic space with its own agency. Ocean now has its own agency. It has its own histories. It has got its own ecology. It is said Sri Lankan waters, Indian waters. How do you make a fence? How do you say that this is Indian water? This is the ocean water. Now you say it's the Indian Ocean. This is the Atlantic Ocean. It's all our mapping. But each ocean has its own space, which is dynamic. Okay, no human force can do with the force of the ocean, water body. Okay, they have their own histories, they have their own ecology, and therefore scholars argue for an understanding of the ocean as, I quote, space of flow, space not stagnant like land, but space of flow that connects cultures, economies, and ecosystems. Sea connects cultures, economies, and ecosystems. Of course, now you have aeroplane. Earlier, it's only the sea route. Even now, the large scale of goods are being transported from one country to another country only by sea. So it is water, which is a space of flow that connects cultures, economies, and ecosystem, rather than mere void. Sea cannot be mistakenly understood for our convenience as void, separating land masses. Between land masses, what is found is water. You cannot have that kind of mechanical approach. So this approach emphasizes the ocean's role in shaping global interconnections. The whole globe is interconnected because of the sea. Only through the sea and the oceans you got huge ships connects the people, takes the goods. So encourages to think our spatial frameworks to include oceans, fluid, borderless quality. Like land, waters have no borders, so they are borderless. Unlike land, which is a fixed, ocean is fluid. Okay, that is number one. Number two, what is called hydrocriticism. Hydro water. Hydrocriticism. It is a subset of ecocriticism. It emphasizes the materiality of water. Water, H2O, is material. It is not metaphor. For all these years, literature people treated water as a symbol of life, energy, so on and so forth. But now, hydrocriticism emphasizes the materiality of water. It's a central role in human and non-human lives. நீரின்றி அமையாது உலகு, அது உண்மைதான் வந்து. Without water, no, there can't be human existence. So what is the role, central role water plays in human and non-human lives? What is needed for human beings, non-human beings, and other organic matters like trees, flora and fauna? Without water, nothing is there. So this theory, I mean, hydrocriticism as a theory, focuses on water's unique properties. What are the unique properties of water? I'm not talking about chemical properties like hydrogen, oxygen. I'm not talking about H2O. But we say water as material. Water as material is unique properties of mobility. Land cannot be mobile. Land cannot move. Water moves. Mobility. Changeability. It doesn't remain the same. And ability to sustain. It has the ability to sustain the entire world. Man would have gone to Mars and other planets if they detect the water. Water is the source of our life, ability to sustain our life. Okay, so this theory focuses on how these qualities influence cultural representations and understandings of what is called aquatic environments, water environments. Okay, how literature, scholars analyze how literature represents water's materiality. Water's materiality like mobility or changeability, as said, ability to sustain life, from its symbolic meanings to hitherto until today, literature has treated water as something as a symbol, but we have to move from its symbolic meanings to physical impact on human societies. Physical impact on human, most important thing, one of the most important things for human survival next to air is water. Okay, so that is about hydrocriticism. And third, as I referred to earlier, post-colonial theory is also relevant to inform to address how oceans were historically sites of colonial encounters, colonial trades, colonial exploitations, African slave. Those things were not possible, would not have been a possibility if there were no oceans. So this perspective examines colonial and post-colonial histories of the Atlantic, Indian, Pacific Oceans, and focuses on themes like transatlantic slave trade, indigenous maritime traditions, and exploitation of maritime resources. So to talk about these things, post-colonial theory also adds a lot of things to blue humanities. And blue humanities draw a lot of knowledge from marine biology and oceanography. So when blue humanities deal with biology and oceanography, study of ocean, we literature people have some knowledge of those fields also. Otherwise, literary writers, dealing with the blue humanities, will be a Greek and Latin to common readers. So in order to understand the ecological significance of ocean, we need to have knowledge of biology and oceanography. So theories of oceanographic ecologies focus on the biodiversity of marine life. Interconnected, not simply reading a poem about life. Again, going back to Samuel Taylor Coleridge, his poem, what is that poem?
Rime of the Ancient Mariner.
Rime of the Ancient Mariner. No, it's not like that, going back to old texts and trying to say that I am reading this text from blue humanities point of view. But you must understand the basics of blue humanities. So you need to understand the basics of some knowledge of biology and oceanography. So these ecological perspectives highlight impacts of human action. What do? Pollution. We pollute ocean. We pollute water bodies. We pollute river. We pollute dams. Overfishing. What's the problem between Sri Lanka and India overfishing. We just go into their domain. They claim it's their domain. Then what do? We overfish. Then now government has got a moratorium period for different parts of the seas. No, you should not go into the sea for fishing for 45 days. No, artificially, no, you are rearing fish. What is original in the sea, you are now you're rearing it now. So overfishing, climate change. Who is responsible? We are responsible. This is what I say. Anthropocene. Human action has got a huge impact on this planet. It spoils the ocean's health, not only human health, not only land's health. It is ocean health that is affected. How literature addresses these issues. Number 5, what is called aquaplegic assemblages. Aquaplegic, aqua water, PELAGIC, aquaplegic assemblages, like we assemble, no? Aquaplegic assemblages is another concept that refers to interdependent relationship between humans and water-based environments, particularly island and coastal communities. What happened, Rameshwaram? There was a cloud burst. Last 120 years, such a rainfall then was never recorded. More than 80 centimeters of rain. If it rains a couple of times during a monsoon, what happened to this fragile ecosystem surrounding the Rameswaram island? Unlike the land-centric focus on ecosystem, this theory frames islands, reefs, coastal waters as a dynamic assemblages in which human culture, energy, and marine life are intricately intertwined. Therefore, this concept is useful in studying how communities adapt to life on and around water. Live on and around on coastal areas, how communities live. And this concept, aquaplegic assemblages, emphasizes cultural practices, navigation, fishing, and indigenous knowledge that center on aqua environments. Number 6, blue humanities also intersect with what I already dealt with elsewhere, environmental justice, particularly issues concerning ocean pollution, resource extraction, and climate change. Okay, so there is a particular notion connected with environmental justice that is called oceanic commons. Oceanic commons. This idea reflects that oceans are shared resources. Oceans are shared resources that require responsible stewardship from human beings. So oceans are shared resources, not belong to humans or one particular region alone. Shared resources, protection of which is possible only through proper stewardship. Okay, so this framework critiques how oceans have been treated as spaces for dumping waste, as I already told you, or over-exploiting resources, or disproportionately impacting coastal or indigenous communities, like building harbors, saying that this will be useful for farmers and so on. Everything in the beginning, you go the capitalist interest of a few business people, that decide the establishment of the spoiling the face of the seas also. Okay, so it calls for sustainable, this oceanic comment, this idea calls for sustainable policies and ethical responsibilities, encouraging cultural works like literature that critique environmental exploitation. Literature should critique environmental exploitation and promote what is called oceanic justice, because as I told you, all entities have the right to exist. They demand for oceans also know they cannot come to your High Court and Supreme Court, but we must be sensible enough to understand and render justice to the oceans also. Okay, and finally, many blue humanities scholars, theorists reject anthropocentric views, man-centered views. They treat ocean as a site of non-human agency. Okay, oceans and maritime life are portrayed not just as backdrop, passive backdrop, like Hardy and other writers, the nature lover writers, they deal with the nature, but nature is projected, nature is produced, nature is displayed as something passive backdrops. After the 30 pages, 40 pages, Hardy will come back to the land. human issues. So nature is not simply, should not be seen as passive backdrops, but active forces that shape human history, that shape human literature, that shape human culture. So that way, blue humanities reject anthropocentric views, and this view is in fact informed by what I'm going to take up next is called post-humanist theory, which challenges human-centered frameworks and suggests that oceans to fluidity. Fluidity is a dear term for post-structuralists. Fluidity, because nothing is fixedity. So the land is fixed, but you got lots of things that you find in fluidity. Fluidity, this oceans of fluidity disrupts rigid boundaries between human and non-human worlds. Human and non-human world, that rigid boundaries are disrupted by oceans of fluidity. So friends, let me quickly move on to the fourth one, post-humanism. Humanism, you know that from man is the center of the earth, I told you that. Now, what is this post-humanism? What does the post-humanism do? Post-humanism challenges traditional human-centered views, which are questioned by other discourses that I already referred to, both land-centric and water-centric. So traditional human-centered views challenged by humanism, and humanism rethinks humanity's place within the broader ecological, technological, and animal continuum. It is something that is continuous. In which you have ecology, you have technology, you have animals, you also have human beings. Human beings are also part of the world. Human beings are not; they don't constitute the world. This world is not meant for human beings alone. Yesterday I had a guest who was with me for 10 to 15 minutes. He said that he lost his wife 5 years ago, and the cemetery attached to his church, he said that he built a grave, and he has built the first floor. He said, I have built one first floor also. That's meant for me. I said, why are you in a hurry? He said, there is no space. Say that fight for space within even the place burial ground. You are fighting for space. You already booked a space for you to be buried by your children. We have exploited the whole place. Then he said that no more space for our church. They said now we have bought 1 acre of land beyond Madurai airport. The church is beyond Pudur. From there about 30 kilometers. They have to carry dead body now. So we are paid for now for what we have done. We have exploited the whole space. So the space is, we think that the space is for us. It's not the space is meant for other beings. So post-humanism brings in addition to ecology and animal kingdom, it brings in technology also. The right place for technology. Where will technology go? Only in this world. Technology is not your subservient master. The subservient is a slave. Neither is it a master. But technology has to coexist with us, whether we like it or not. Maybe technology is reluctant to enter literature classes. It has already made inroads into language classes. Technology has made inroads into all our life, personal life. Each one has got mobile phone. Each one has got double SIM. Each one has got 2 mobile phones. Each one has got their own 2, 3 bank accounts, and you have so many credit cards and debit cards. So we cannot live without technology. Whether we enable technology to survive or technology enables survival is a big question. So this theory, post-humanist theory, critiques anthropocentrism, human-centered world, and examines how humans relate to non-human entities like animals, plants, and machines, and ecosystems. It emphasizes very beautifully that this point I like about post-humanism is that humans are one among the many forms of life. Bible is wrong when it says that you have dominion over. No, you can't have the dominion over thing. All are equal. All are equal in this world, including non-human entity like technology is also as equal as a human being. Humans are one among many forms of life, and they are all deeply interconnected with non-human systems and entities. And therefore, it invites the readers to consider ethical implications of human interactions with non-human world and embrace, I think that I'm not able to see any one of you, but you can see me, I believe. I cannot live without my specs. Specs is not part of me. Specs was not born with me. But without this technological gadget, I cannot see. I can guess. I can to some extent, otherwise I cannot. I'm sitting before my system, maybe 1 foot or 1.5 feet away from my system, but I cannot see anything on the system without specs. Some people have pacemakers. They cannot survive without pacemakers. No, these days, no, when you have orthopedic problem, no operation, then you go technology, you have titanic plates, very costly plates, metals, embedded, not removed. That's all, it becomes part of your body. After surgery, no, 3 days, 4 days, 10 days, no, you have to go to hospital to remove suture. These days, suture need not be removed because sutures all automatically become part of that. So many plants or products. Because of that, we have our body. We live, our body survives because of rice, because of fish, because of mutton, because of soya bean. All these things become what you think that they're all non-human beings, they are inferior to us. But you live because of those things. We have very costly dresses that we are wearing, non-human thing, without which you cannot live. Have a respectable appearance, you need these things. They become part of yourself. When you go to workplace, when you go out, whether it's little kids or elder, without a dress, you cannot go out. Dress is part of they become part of yourself. Dress comes to you through technology. There are so many names that you are giving to your dresses now. Okay, so as far as post-humanism is concerned, the next one now, it challenges Enlightenment era humanism. Humanism is basically starting with Renaissance. It was enriched through Enlightenment period because Enlightenment philosophers advocated that because of Enlightenment age only now world has become high technological these days. It questions everything that cannot be resolved by human mind. There is nothing that is beyond understanding of human mind. Human mind is the ultimate judge. We can understand everything. You think that you cannot understand God, then God is not part of this planet. If anything is not understandable to human mind, they are not part of this world. So there is nothing in the world which is beyond understanding of human mind. So that is what Enlightenment humanism advocated. Now post-humanism challenges this Enlightenment era humanism, which idealizes human beings, as I told you, rational. They can think everything. There is nothing that cannot be thought about by the human mind. Human beings are autonomous beings. Okay, they are, as Shakespeare says, pinnacle of creation. The zenith of God's creation is the man. Man is because he's the man is the last creature. So we think the best creature. They are autonomous. They are not influenced by anything. They are not accountable for anyone. There is no other creature to which I am accountable. I am not accountable to my dog. I am not accountable to water. I am not accountable to land. I am not accountable to sky. I am not accountable to air because they are all there for my sake. They have no existence if I am not here. If without human beings, they cannot exist. That kind of a false notion was encouraged by this Enlightenment era humanism. Of course, that was first before post-humanism was thought about. Post-structuralist, post-modernist, like Lyotard, questioned that. So it views humans as part of complex networks. The world in which we live, this natural world, consists of complex networks in which human beings only a part. You have animals, you have ecosystems, you have technology, you have inanimate objects, and so on. It highlights the interdependence of all entities in shaping existence. Okay. In literary studies, post-humanism explores representations of what is called cyborgs. I think that you are well aware of this particular term, cyborgs. Manisambadi, Murugambadi, technology, Manisambadi. Half man, half technology, artificial intelligence, biotechnology, environmental interdependence. Okay, it explores these ideas in literary texts, and posthumanism also questions what it means to be human. You say you are a human being, you are superior, you are not accountable to anyone, you are autonomous, I am rational, man is the rational, and between man and woman, man is the superior. Posthumanism asking this question, come on, you tell me, what do you mean by being human in this world where boundaries are increasingly porous? You go pores all over around you, nothing fixed. And therefore, it explores the integration of humans and technology. The concept of cyborg as a hybrid of the organic and technological. Okay? So, without now man is partly man and partly technological. You can't say that 100% man. When you talk about the soul, maybe soul may be part of the part of human being, but there are many other things that is part of technology of your character. So it examines how technology reshapes our identity, reshapes our agency, reshapes our ethics. That would be inherited from forefathers will not work now. Okay, so that is number 3. Number 4, it recognizes agency of non-human entities. Now, as we see in blue humanities, as we in environmental humanities, animals, plants, machines, even my system, ecosystem, all they have their own agencies. You may say, what kind of feeling does my system have? What kind of thing my mobile has? You may ask it. But then they have their own agency. They will not function. They will malfunction. As we malfunction several times, our machines also will go down. They will not cooperate with you. Your Wi-Fi system will not cooperate with you because they have their own agent system. They need what we must give what they need. So it explores how these entities influence and co-construct realities. Human beings alone don't create reality. Realities are created by machines, technology, animals, ecosystem, and by human beings also. So all of us know we are all co-creators. Man and other entities are co-creators of realities which are traditionally attributed to humans. Human alone can create reality. No, it challenges the binary opposition. Therefore, human versus animal, nature versus culture, mind versus the body, organic versus mechanical. That kind of course, deconstruction is already questioned it. So, posthumanism is questioning this kind of binary oppositions. Human being is also animal. Animal also has human qualities. You have cat at home. You have dog at home. You strike it. You strike it. You see its reaction. You strike a boy, a girl, a little baby at home. Look for a reaction. So humans have animalistic. Animals are also human. Nature has got some culture, and culture is of some nature. Body and mind cannot be separated, and therefore it argues that such distinctions are artificial. For our convenience, we have made such artificial distinction. They only limit our understanding of existence. It advocates for ethics that considers the rights of well-being of non-human entities, not well-being of human alone, but non-human entities also. Okay, and it also explores the possible futures where future humans may evolve beyond their current biological and cultural forms. Who knows? We become superhuman beings, man and Superman. No, you are the play. In the course of evolution, we become somebody different. So you have, therefore, posthumanism engages with speculative fiction, artificial intelligence, biotechnology in order to envision post-human possibilities. Okay. So now coming to the theory part of posthumanism is that first it critiques anthropocentric, human-centered focus on traditional humanities. It questions the privileged status of humans over other beings. So literary text, post-humanist literary text will no longer center a human as the character, as the main character, or the protagonist, or no antagonist. No longer human being. Other things also matter. It questions the privileged status of humans over other beings, and it proposes an inclusive approach that considers animal, plants, and as I said, machines, ecosystems as co-participants in existence. We all co-participate in our existence. No, man cannot live as an island alone. So this critique calls for a rethinking of ethics a rethinking of subjectivity, a rethinking of agency in ways which account for non-humans. Okay, emphasizing interconnectedness and interdependence. And cyborg theory, I already told you, because how technology blurs the lines between organic and synthetic, human and machine, transforming what it means to be human. All those things, that's called Donna Haraway, that cyberpunk theories. So that inform, And third is new materialism. I already talked about new materialism elsewhere. That emphasize the agency of matter itself. Proposes all entities, organic, inorganic, all entities have inherent capacity for agency. You don't have to speak for others. You don't have to say what other flora and fauna think about it. They know how to. They may not communicate with you, but when they start communicating with you, we won't be able to understand. When nature started communicating with man through tsunami, we didn't understand. Then now we understand. So these non-humans may not use the language which we use, but when they start using the language to communicate with us, that will be terrible. So thinkers in this field, this new materialism, which believes that in the agency of matter, they deal with the concept of what is called vital materialism. Vital materialism, because they argue non-human objects, forces, ecosystems play active roles in shaping human life and history. That's why this material, looking at rain, water, air, land as material, not as a metaphor, they are very vital, and they have their own active roles in shaping human life and human history, because this approach challenges the passive, idle, inert view of non-human matter. We think that they're all inert, but they are very powerful. Water is powerful, trees are powerful, wind is powerful, storm is powerful. Okay, so sea is powerful during monsoon. We understand how powerful is the sea now. So they try to communicate with us. They are the agents. Okay, and number 4, zoo criticism. I don't know whether you heard about the zoo criticism. Zoo criticism is part of animal studies. Animal studies explore the ethical, philosophical, and cultural implications of animal-human relationships. Okay, and see that we have zoos, and we say that we have care and love for animals, but they aren't caged. They have the right to be free. We bring them to wild life, forests, and then we make zoos. Then we keep them there for our pleasure. You go and visit out of love. You feed also, no. But now what happened in Tiruchendur last week? It has got the liberty. It has the right to live anywhere it wants to live. You brought the elephant from deep forest and you kept it, chained it. You tamed it, but that animal will have its own quality. What happened to those two people? You want to take selfie with it? You pay for them. So influenced by thinkers like post-structural thinkers like Jacques Derrida, this animal studies field critiques traditional views that animals are objects for human use. That's a traditional understanding. Animals are objects meant for human use. So bring all your animals, keep them in zoo or in circus. Now after Supreme Court's ban, no longer these animals kept in the circus, but still you keep them in zoo. You limited its space for them to move around. So zoo criticism extends these ideas into literature, into cultural studies, and analyzes representation of animals to challenge anthropocentrism. See, 1984 or Animal Farm by George Orwell, animals are treated not as animals. Animals are treated as substitute for human beings. But animals must be represented to challenge anthropocentrism and highlight interspecies relationship. There is a relationship between me and other species, human as a species and other animals, other insects, other flora and fauna. So zoo criticism analyzes how animals are represented to challenge anthropocentrism, human-centered life, and highlights interspecies relationship. Number 5, fifth theory connected with this is eco-philosophy. Eco-philosophy and deep ecology underscore the importance of post-humanities by emphasizing an ethical framework, a framework that values all forms of life equally. All forms of life equally. Okay, so in that respect, deep ecology advocates for intrinsic respect for ecosystems and critiques the human tendency to prioritize economic and other developmental interests over environmental concerns. Okay. Then speculative realism. Speculative realism critiques the notion that humans are the primary agents of knowledge and meaning. What is knowledge? What is meaning? Known only to human beings. Who can create knowledge? Who can create meaning? Only human beings. So that idea is questioned by speculative realism. Object-oriented ontology. Ontology, study of existence, you know that. Object-oriented ontology, a branch of speculative realism, proposes that all objects, whether human or animal or inanimate things, exist with equal ontological status. Equal ontological status. Hills, the valleys, the mountain, they have their right to stay there. You didn't create the mountain. Human beings did not create the streams and brooks. You are blocking their way. You are having your own buildings. So they all have their equal right to live. That's what we mean, equal ontological status. Okay. So this perspective, this what I told you, speculative realism underpins the post-humanities by decentralizing human perspective and recognizing the autonomy of non-human entities. Okay. Seventh one is transhumanism. When you talk about posthumanism, is related to transhumanism, and they overlap in their focus on how technology can transform and enhance human experience. Technology can transform and enhance human experience. Okay, so that thing known there, number of examples. These days you don't carry purse at all. You don't carry when you go abroad, when you go to other states, you don't stash the cash in your purse at all. You can take the card and you can do. You have the ATM. You have another means of spending. Say cashless transaction. And I told you how technology has become part of our body now. So it transforms and enhances the human experience. Okay. So the emerging technologies like artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, cybernetics, can expand our capabilities instead of suspecting these technologies, because all these technologies ultimately, I believe, will lead to post-human future. Okay, of which we may not be part, but that's going to happen. Next theory that I already explained to you, I'm skipping it, Anthropocene, that also deals with post-humanism. And affect theory, again I already to how the role of emotions, sensations, and bodily experiences between humans and non-humans. Subjectivity is not exclusively for humans, but other animals also. No, I already explained to you that how emotions can affect, how emotions and affects can transcend individual human entities and create bonds with other beings and environment. And I told you. The last theory connected with post-humanism is ethics of care. Ethics of care. Of course, I believe ethics of care is firmly rooted in feminist philosophy, focusing on relationality and interdependence. Not absolute, relationality and interdependence. It's an ethical framework advocates for a more inclusive care ethic that extends beyond a human relationship in order to include care for animals, environment, and machine. Now you have a number of voluntary NGOs, who care for human beings, and you have a number of national level associations which are fighting against jellicate and other animals that are put into cruelties according to them for sheer human pleasure and so on. So, so the last theory then. Now coming to I move on to digital humanities. I'm not going to focus on this because it's no longer true. If I am right, Dr. Jude and Beulah, you included digital humanities last year also? Any organizer response from?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So digital humanities is another emergent area. It's also interdisciplinary in nature. It is largely dependent on English departments alone cannot do anything in digital humanities unless otherwise we have a collaboration with the computer science and information technology departments, because it requires a lot of technological know-how. And sometimes tomorrow you are going to listen to Dr. Jaresh. When he contacted computer science people, even they themselves do not know certain apps that are being used in digital humanities. So there must be a collaboration between, excuse me. There must be a collaboration between computer science departments and literature department. They must learn humanities from us. We must learn digital technologies from those people. Both must come together. And recently there was an article written about digital humanities. One aspect of digital humanities called distant reading. It was published in a journal that has been indexed in Web of Science, and I have uploaded that article in all research websites. Some of you may have had access to that. How distant is a distant reading? That's the title I have given, available in ResearchGate, Google Scholar, and other academia.edu. Those who are interested, you can read that article. You can understand. So, digital humanity, in short, we call DH. It bridges the gap between humanities and technology. So, stakeholders from these both areas know they are oblivious about what's happening in other disciplines. It's an area that combines the methods from fields like computer science, data science, information technology with traditional humanities scholarship. So we have traditional humanities scholarship, but we need to have knowledge in computer science, data science, and information technology. As I told you beginning, that we need to do a lot of research first instead of rushing to advocate or introduce into the curriculum, which requires a lot of infrastructural, we have to face a lot of infrastructural constraints also. So it involves using digital tools and techniques like text analysis, visual data visualization, and network analysis, and so on. But it has got a lot of things that human beings cannot do. Traditionally, you deal with only one or two texts at a time, one poem at a time in the class, maybe 5 novels for your PhD dissertation. But now, when you use these digital tools advocated by and in and for digital humanities, you can deal with 500 novels at a time. You can have the text taken over, or I mean the evolution of entire genre, starting from old English till modern English. You can analyze all the poems, all the sonnets, all subgenres. Now you can analyze. Now this app will give you the result. It's up to you to interpret. This is like different apps in statistics. They are using, mathematics. They are also using, use that app. The machine will analyze for you. Okay, so you'll get the results. Then you have your discussion. So it studies a digital culture such as social media, gaming, online communities, as new spaces for cultural production and representation. Okay, so one particular, I just give you theories. You can take it down. What is called digital materiality? Digital materiality is a theory that examines the first theory that informs digital humanities. What do you mean by digital materiality? What does it do? It examines the physical and computational foundations of digital media, from hardware and software to data structures and code. We are familiar with print. Now you talk about hardware and software. Now you talk about digital media, like data structures and code. And usually it is used by media theorists. They study the ways digital environments shape and constrains information. They underscore that digital text, archives, and representation have unique material qualities. Like you have a physical book, you have a material, something like that. This data, this code, this structure, they also have unique material qualities. They may influence your interpretation. So this approach emphasizes that digital artifacts are not immaterial. We are not able to see. As I see a book, whatever appears on the screen, when I Google, I'm not able to touch it. I don't feel it. No, doesn't mean that they are immaterial. Rather, they have their own specific forms of materiality. Okay, and that impact how we engage with them. Number one. Number two, critical code studies. Critical code studies is another theory that involves analyzing the code that underlies digital applications and digital media. Maybe if you are interested in computational linguistics, you will understand. I have included one chapter in my book on English syntax that is to be released next month, on how computers can do miracles in analyzing and synthesizing sentences in languages like English. So by reading code as a text, reading I'm using in a special sense, reading code as a text, scholars can explore how programming choices shape the function of ideology of digital projects. Okay, so that's about critical code studies. Then you go what is called, interestingly, data ethics. And data ethics explores the ethical implications of data collection and analysis. People who are involved in literature, language studies, particularly field work, when you collect data through questionnaire and all, you have to be careful about data ethics, because what it would mean to the person who has given you data, when you collected data, when you analyze, when you represent visual, so you have to protect them. So it's called data ethics. There is something called data feminism. I don't know whether you heard about it. Data feminism highlights how data practices can reproduce gender biases, and therefore calling for more equitable approaches to data representation. So these frameworks urge digital humanities scholars to consider issues of privacy, consent, and power when they are working with digital data, trying to promote transparency and social responsibility in research practices. Then you go what is called infrastructure studies and platform studies. Now Zoom is a platform. So that area is called platform studies, infrastructure studies and platform studies. They examine the systems and the platforms that underlie digital tools and databases. Scholars investigate how the infrastructure, digital platforms like Google or social media networks and cloud services, how they impact access and knowledge production and scholarly communication. Okay, and there is another theory called network theory. Therein, literature is very useful. Applied to literary studies. Network theory developed by one Franco Moretti, Moretti, Franco Moretti. It is he who has given a new reading called distant reading. About that only I have written that article, told you. So Franco Moretti's the network theory explores how distant reading is like kaleidoscope. Through kaleidoscope, when you look at it now, what you see at the far end coming closer to you, like telescopic, So, but distant reading, this is known, as I told you, that instead of dealing with one poem or one novel, one character, that according to new criticism, it is called new critical theory has given close reading. Network theory has given distant reading. Close reading is you are reading only one poem at a time. You close to your reading. Distant reading is you are reading 100 poems at a time. Of course, the app will reach for you and it gives you result. You interpret it. Okay, you feed data 100 poems and it analyzes what you want to analyze. It analyzes. You want to have water metaphors. You want to have water imagery in the poem, 100 poem. It will analyze what are the water images that the poets of the last 100 years they have used. It will analyze and it will give it to you and up to you for you. And then you having collected data, you are going to interpret it. So it's almost like a science, no? So distant reading can uncover connections across large data sets that human mind cannot handle. Okay, so such a collection of novel or historical documents, for that matter, mapping characters network, tracking genre evolution, how poetry as a genre evolved over a period of time, that human minds cannot do. But distant reading challenges traditional interpretive approaches by analyzing trends, structures, connections on a macro level, reshaping how we think about literary history and cultural. This is micro level. close reading is a micro level, distant reading is a macro level. Okay. Then you have theories of post-humanism and digital embodiment. These theories also are informing digital humanities to reshape human identity, memory, and perception. Okay. Digital environments alter our relationship with the text and creates a new form of embodied interaction through augmented realities, virtual realities, interactive media, digital storytelling. You are right. If you are interested, if you are familiar with blogging, you write a poem, somebody adds, the poem also grows. So it's collectively, communally, you are writing. The reader's response also becomes part and parcel of the poem that you started writing. Then another interesting theory is what is called algorithmic criticism. Algorithmic criticism is usually used in science. In science and algorithm, we are not using it. It's only science people, math people. But it's called algorithmic criticism. I think it was proposed by Stephen Ramsey. Now, he examines algorithms can be used to generate insights about the text. It is apps that are going to use it, and thematic patterns, stylistic trends. I think that Dr. Jaresh will deal with algorithmic criticism tomorrow. And cultural analytics against the data science setup. Now they are used blending technique. They have created a new term, cultural analytics. Cultural analytics expands this particular approach using large-scale computational analysis to explore cultural trends across vast data sets. Okay, and a few more theories, and I have done it. I think I want to talk about other two also. Just I'm skipping those few theories like digital narrative theory. We now examine the way in which digital media enable new forms of storytelling, interactivity, how readers can become co-creators. All those things are now dealt with in digital narrative theory. And post-colonial, decolonial digital humanities also there. Digital humanities, now you have a subset called post-colonial digital humanities and decolonial digital humanities. I think that when you read more about digital humanities, don't lose sight of this particular theory, post-colonial and decolonial digital humanities, because they critique a dominance of Western perspectives in digital humanities. Digital humanities, digital tools or archives or methodologies are dominated by Western perspectives. So we should not submit ourselves complete to their work. Rather, scholars from post-colonial and decolonial digital humanities advocate and argue that digital humanities a project should work to decenter Eurocentric narratives. See, Western digital humanities are Eurocentric. That must be decentered. It must be decentered by decolonial digital humanities, and we need to incorporate diverse voices, particularly from those from marginalized communities. So that is what post-colonial, decolonial, digital humanities advocate. Now I go to the last but one called medical and health humanities. I think that it's another upcoming area. Some people are doing research and writing article, and this is, I think that since we belong to liberal arts education, we go to medical field, a doctor only when we feel sick. Otherwise, we don't. But there is a connection between these two, humanities and medicine, humanities and health. Actually, health humanities is the umbrella term in which you have subset called medical humanities. So you can think of now. I think that Beulah has used medical and health humanities as synonyms. They are synonyms in a way, but the medical humanities is part of health humanities. Okay. So health humanities and its a subset medical humanities use literary and cultural studies to examine health, illness, and the body. Health, illness, and body. Keep those three components in your mind. So how health, illness, and the body are dealt with in literary and cultural studies. If you look at it that point of view, that is called health humanities. This field bridges medicine with humanities in order to explore how literature depicts physical and mental health experiences, patient narratives, and medical ethics. When you go to medical sciences, Only it's a science from a medical point of view. But medical humanities, the health humanities, you look at everything from patient's point of view. Of course, sometimes from doctor's point of view also. This theme becomes very relevant these days when there is increasingly attack on medical personnel in the hospital these days. There is a conflict between doctors and health workers and patients. Okay, patients are by some media treated as terrorists, and medical professionals are treated by most of us as gods. So there is a as you have animal human conflict in this field, there is a conflict between health workers and the patients, and health humanities assume a lot of importance in a society like India, which is not yet properly become a literate society, not an enlightened society, not a reading society. I think that there is a lot of scope for medical humanities in the future, because it can alone give solution to the problem that we are facing now. Okay, so topics medical humanities, health humanities include topics like representation of illness, how illness is represented in literature, disability, caregiving, doctor-patient relationships, how they are represented in literature. It highlights the human aspects of healthcare. Of course, it underscores the need for empathy, compassion, the importance of narrative in patients, in understanding patients' experiences. Most of the complaints of the patients who are going to government hospital is this: doctors don't talk to us, doctors don't touch us, doctors simply prescribe. There's something in English. We think that, what happened in Chennai 2 weeks ago, that mom, cancer patient, the mom says that the doctor teases me in English. This lady does know English. But whatever the doctor speaks in English becomes a bad word for the patient. So what is the what is the inference? Doctors are supposed to talk to the patient in the language which the patients can understand. Doctors are not supposed to just give prescription. Doctors are expected to engage themselves in discourse with the patients. Doctors are not only the talkers, speakers, doctors are also listeners. They are expected to patiently listen to the patient's narratives. I know that. I know that, you got the pain in the stomach. I have studied, I have treated hundreds of, then I have 20 years of experience. I am an MD. I know, no. But this headache, how it, let me be allowed to tell you my experience. My illness is unique. My suffering is unique, which you do not know, which your medical degree may not have familiarized you with. This is what is emphasized by medical or health humanities. Okay, so no. This empathy, compassion, the importance of a narrative by the patient's experiences, can in fact deepen practitioners' sensitivity, cultural awareness of. My caretaker at home till few years ago was telling me that he was allergic to injection. I thought that he was afraid of injections, but he was telling allergic. When I spoke to my family doctor, and family doctor also confirmed my suspicion. But later, when he underwent a surgery, that surgeon told me that this fellow was allergic to, his body was allergic to injection. See that this is individual specific, and there are things that are cultural specific. Okay, if you go to Nagarcoil, Kanyakumari district, you will understand lots of culturally conditioned medical practices. Okay, fine. For one that I'm not able to share with those good things. So this field examines cultural, historical, societal factors that shape medical practices and the healthcare systems. Okay, so it includes studying historical pandemics, medical ethics, and evolution of healthcare policies, and so on. Okay, so coming to theoretical underpinnings, first one is called narrative medicine. Narrative medicine. Narrative medicine emphasizes the importance of storytelling in healthcare. Storytelling in healthcare. You see, when healthcare system and medical system was introduced, institutions were established by early missionaries. Early missionaries did not simply prescribe medicine at all. They spend lots and lots of time talking to the patients. Christian hospitals, once upon a time, were very famous because they were not only giving injection and tablets medicine, but they gave love. They gave their precious time to the patients. People used to say when I was young. But now all hospitals become corporate. You have advertisement like colleges, Once upon a time, when I joined my college, there is no ad that could I see in the buses. But in all TVs, you have large scale, advertisement for hospitals. They give a discount. Few years ago, when I went to a dentist, I saw a thing there, the board there, a message. If you pull out one tooth, one more pull out tooth can be pulled out freely. Well, for one tooth, you got another thing, you can have it extracted freely. See the discount rate for human bodies. So you have it became a business. Corporate once became a corporate, now it becomes a business. So doctors don't spend time with this doctor-patient conflict. Doesn't happen in medical college in the government hospital alone. It happens in private hospitals also. Okay, so narrative medicine, and it highlights the importance of storytelling in healthcare. What do you call narrative medicine theory? Narrative medicine theory. It posits that through empathetic engagement with the patient's narrative, not doctor's narrative, patient's narratives, healthcare providers like doctor and nurses can improve therapeutic relationship. I feel cured when nurse talks to me sometime. Doctor spends some time when comes around in the ward when I approach him or her. So 50% of illness is gone. That is what patients feel. Patients feel that they are cured, not because of medicine, because the doctors love, doctors care. Okay, so that is narrative medicine theory. Number two, phenomenology. Phenomenology, already I told you that. That has influenced medical humanities by exploring subjective experience of illness. Two people are suffering from headache, but they are not headache. They are not suffering the same headache. Medical science tell you headache only as a headache. Lack of oxygen causes a headache. Doctors will say, but my headache is something that please listen to me. How I suffer. Another person gives me another narration. So the phenomenology has influenced medical humanities at the level of subjective experience. So phenomenology of illness, they call it. Okay, not to understand how people perceive, how people experience their bodies, their pain, their suffering. So this theoretical approach challenges objective, detached view of illness. These are the symptoms of, this particular problem. Doctor will say, a book will tell you, Google will tell you. But how you feel, Google will not tell you. How you feel is something unique. It is not something objective. This is not something in detail. This is something subjective. Okay, so it only highlights the importance of understanding patients' personal experiences. Number three, biopolitics. Biopolitics is a concept associated with Michel Foucault, examines how institutions and governments, hospitals, other establishments and governments exercise power over bodies and populations, particularly through healthcare and medical practices. Euthanasia can be administered or not, court has to say. Doctors have to decide. But parents say that I can't see my child suffering any longer. Please kill it. A lot of biopolitics is involved here. Biopolitical theory explores how medicine and healthcare are sites of power, where you have issues like surveillance. We lost all our freedom, privacy during pandemic period. Drones will trace you where you are going, whether children are playing in the playground or not. Surveillance, control, normalization of bodies. Take this paracetamol. This is one size that fits all, but it is not acceptable to me. So medicalization of my body. They have right over my body. Doctors and government, they prescribe what ought to be good for my body. Reproductive rights, whether I have or not. Family planning, whether I must do or not. No, the second child, what are you going to do? Even without informing the mother, no, sometimes not doctors do it. Public health policy decided by government. This is called biopolitics. Okay. Then you have embodiment theory and disability studies. Disability studies, I think some of you may be familiar with. Embodiment theory, challenges traditional medical models that view disability as a defect, disability is a pathology. This approach critiques ableist perspectives in healthcare and emphasizes social, cultural, and individual meanings of disability. What it means to me, I'll only know. How do you know? You cannot describe my disability. Disability is my ability. Okay, so disability studies calls for advocates for inclusivity, the removal of social barriers rather than just medical solutions. Then you have what is called ethics of care. Particularly, I think, again, as I told you, this is rooted in feminist theory, emphasizes relational contextual understanding in ethical decision making. Okay. Then you have trauma theory. Trauma theory also informs quite a lot health humanities. The impact of traumatic events on mental and emotional health. How trauma can disrupt memory, how it can disrupt identity or even ability to communicate. So this framework is used in health humanities in order to address both mental and emotional dimensions of health, particularly dealing with chronic illness like cancer and other terminal diagnoses. Another theory that is connected with this is cultural competence theory. Cultural competence theory, which explores cultural beliefs, cultural values, and social conditions, how they affect our health behavior and our healthcare experiences. Now, scholars examine how cultural understanding and sensitivity to healthcare can improve patient outcomes. So, in Tamil, we say that the English medicine, this allopathy is English English mardu kadai. In Tamil, you can find it in medical shops. So that English, that is that's such a foreign to us. This system, this medical system is foreign to Indian body. When you talk about sugar level, BP level, or other level, you talk about 20 bar, 120. This all is not connected to us. It is not our body. It is not Indian body. This calculation is based on white body, that a white male body, not even female body. So the cultural competence theory examines how cultural understanding and sensitivity can improve patient outcomes. Okay, so this theory critiques healthcare health disparities. It emphasizes, in fact, the need for healthcare practices that respect cultural differences, maybe socioeconomic status or access to resources. And another theory that is relevant here is empathy theory. Empathy theory argues that understanding patients' emotional, psychological experiences can improve their health quality, not just medicine alone. Okay, so that is what the empathy theory, you should first understand the patients. And of course, patients will also understand the caregivers, no doubt about it. So medical humanism advocates for treating patients as individuals, not 100 people, 100 patients in that particular ward. Each patient is individual with the unique needs and emotions rather than, in English you call cases. And the case of the condition. So, these English words, they say case and condition. No, they are human beings. Patients are individuals with their own. We should have humane and respectful healthcare environments for the patients. Okay, and what's the other theory? Aging. You have separate studies called aging studies. Focuses on ethical, social, and existential dimensions of aging. When people age, what now? How do doctors deal with aged patients? What is their understanding of aging? Now, some 10 days ago, I came across the expression death studies, philosophies of death, mortality. During Corona period, how bodies were buried, how certain incident became controversial, how bodies were pushed into the pit, how the pit was dug by the bulldozer. See that all human dignity, that not only human being, when I become a body, it also requires. So aging, mortality, end of life care, no, society's attitude towards aging, attitude towards death. No, even body deserves a dignity. Okay, so we must respect autonomy and individual beliefs. All these things are dealt with by aging studies that inform medical humanities in a very large way. And the last one, I think, that bioethics. It's a very foundational concept in medical humanities, and addresses ethical issues like patient autonomy, informed consent. You should do everything only with the consent of the patient, and end of life decision we take. So it examines dilemmas in medical practices, research ethics, and so on. Okay. So now let me come to the last one thing. I just make a mention. One of my scholars is going to present it: testimonial literature. And Jude.
Yes, sir.
Dude, can I stop here? I think Mr. Stewart will take care of. It's already going to be 5. It's uncharitable on my part to expect a participant to listen to this afternoon whole day. Should I go ahead, or I'll stop here? This will be taken care of by.
It's your wish, sir.
Yeah. Shall I stop here then, so that we can have some question time if there is. Is it okay?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
So over to the organizer. Thank you very much, friends, for having listened to me for more than 2 hours. I wish I included testimonial literature also, because now only I see it's already 5 o'clock. Okay. So over to the organizers.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insightful and inspiring words. Your deep knowledge and thoughtful analysis of the topic have significantly enriched our understanding of the evolving paradigms in literary studies. Your lecture was not only informative but also thought-provoking, challenging us to rethink and engage with contemporary literary theories in innovative ways. The clarity with which you presented complex concepts was truly commendable. We are truly grateful for the time and effort you dedicated to this lecture, and we look forward to more such enriching sessions in the future, sir. And now it's time for Q&A session. Participants, if you have any queries, you can ask. It's time for discussion.
I hope participants are still there in the platform.
Yes, sir.
Post lunch session on Sunday, they would have had a heavy lunch.
Sir, I think the participants are not willing to.
Okay. You can wind up then. Already.
Okay. Okay, it's time to propose a vote of thanks. To conclude this session, now I invite Dr. Beulah Hemalata to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Jude, for the invite. Glory to God Almighty for guiding us through this initiative and blessing our efforts. My profound gratitude to our secretary, Mr. S. Premkumar Rajasingh, whose commitment to academic success have triggered us to accomplish further. I extend my thanks to our esteemed principal, Dr. G.V. Esther Ratnakumari, for her support to enhance faculty development. And thanks a million to my professor, Dr. Jan Sekar sir. His timely suggestions for the topics and his efforts in arranging resource persons have been invaluable. JJ sir, the way you provided a comprehensive list of topics at once when I reached out demonstrates your commitment and foresight, which greatly enhances our learning experiences. Great minds like Dr. Jan Sekar sir plant the seeds of knowledge among the literarians, and with guidance, they blossom into a garden of wisdom. Thanks to you, sir, in advance, whose guidance to me will elevate FDP 2025 of Nazareth Margashish College and international level, which will foster collaboration among educators globally. I'm also grateful to all the lettered faculty participants from various states who have joined us. All your presence enriches our discussions that is essential for growth and learning. Thank you all for making day one a success. I and my colleagues of PG and Research Department of English look forward to our continued journey together in this program. Thank you all. Vijay sir, thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Ma.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.